Rahul, shall we start?
Yeah. So, am I audible in both minutes?
Yes, sir.
Guys, can you just confirm if I'm audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes, Rahul, you are
Okay,
audible.
okay. Cool. Yeah, let's just get started with the session. Welcome to Develop Labs Basic Web Development session. I will be taking with this session along with Jaimin and myself, Rahul. Yeah, let's just get started. Okay, and what will you get to know from this session is, by the end of this session is, how does internet work and how do websites work, and deploying a website, just a basic website, HTML, CSS, and JS, and what are frameworks at the last. So, have you ever thought ki how does your internet work? And when you type google.com in your browser, how does a beautiful page come up in your browser? You can just type it in chat or you can just unmute and tell. Okay, the server provides us the information. Great. Yeah. So let me tell you how does internet work. So like let's say you are sitting at your home and in front of your computer and you enter www.google.com in your address bar, you will be getting a page. And what's happening in the backside is when you enter www.google.com, that request will be sent to the internet service provider. And in my case, it's our ITG network, and in your case, it may be your Geo or your Airtel or your Wi-Fi or anything. So, and then that request will be sent to a relay to our DNS server. So what's basically a DNS server is like it's like your contact app in your mobile. Like uh, it will be having the information of all your domain names and their IP address. And again, what is an IP address? So IP address is basically the address of any computer. So let's say we all have addresses to our home site to differentiate between the homes and to locate the homes in a city. Just as same as that, we will have addresses to a computer. So when you enter www.google.com, it will search for that address in the DNS server, and it is just like a phone book, and it will return an IP address. So IP address is basically the address. So the google.com IP address is this. So now the request you made to Google is still at your browser level. It didn't contact Google for providing its page. And then when you enter your IP address, it will directly go to the server through internet service provider. And now it will tell the server key like I want your information. My It will be requesting the information from the server, and the server will be returning three files, which are HTML, CSS, and JS. So these three files will be rendered in your browser, and you will get a beautiful Google page. You're getting the point now. So, like actually, you guys can try entering 142.250.194.46 in your address bar. I'm typing it in chat, yes, so that you can just copy paste in your address bar.
What is IP address? Can you please elaborate?
So IP address is basically the address of a computer. So we all have addresses for our home site to differentiate between the houses and to locate a house in a city. Just same like that, we will have address to the computer. So we will be locating a computer or a server Server is basically a computer which will consist of these files. Okay.
So it is always same na ki it changes like a OTP.
No, no, it will always be same for a respective page.
Okay.
Yes, the IP address will be different for different computers, and different computers can serve different files for you.
So it is based on the computers.
Yeah. Uh, Jaimin, recording is started. No?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
started. Don't worry.
Okay. Okay. So, guys, did you guys try entering 142.2.0.1 and 2.46 in your browser? It shows Google page, right?
Yes.
So it's the address of it's the address of Google server. So, okay, so it's the address of the Google server. Your browser will search for this server around the world, and it will go to the respective server and will request the files from it, and it will be rendered in your browser. So every website has its own IP address. Like you know, we are having a test promise show. The address, the promise.in also has an IP address. So you can just try entering that also, but you will get the Promisho homepage. And let's think about how does this connection made? Like if this is your browser, and for internet service provider, for connecting it to like internet service provider, you can use Wi-Fi or LAN cable. Like you can also use signal of your mobile, like signal from a tower. Yeah, if we create a local web page, it will also have a IP address, which is the local IP address, which is 127.0.0.1. But you cannot give it to the outside world. It cannot be accessed from outside. Okay. So this connection can be made wireless, right? So we can have a Wi-Fi or a LAN. Sorry, we can make it wireless or wired. We can have Wi-Fi, or we can have a signal from tower, but this server can be anywhere in the world. This server can be anywhere in the world, but so we can't make it wireless. No? We have to make it wired to get our connection to our internet service provider at least. So we will be using internet, like not we, but the world uses internet cables under the sea. Like there are some, don't know the exact number, but there are many internet cables under the sea just to provide the connection, internet connection. I can actually show you this. This is the map of internet cables uh, that are present right now under the sea. You can just visit this link, and maybe I will also show you. So this is the internet cable map. So let's say you are in India and you are requesting some resource such as google.com, and your Google server is in United States. Then your request will travel through one of these cables, and it will return the three files to our home within just milliseconds. It's fascinating, right? Like this, all the traveling is running within just milliseconds, and actually your request is traveling around the world.
Why can't we use satellite networks?
We can use, but like it's in research area, I guess. As far as I know, it's still in research, and maybe we will soon get it through satellite, and it would be very easy and it would be very fast too if we use satellites.
Is SpaceX Starlink satellite network, right? Like I heard, I'm not sure. I'm asking.
So, I'm not aware of that actually.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe it's in research field. Maybe we will maybe communicate through satellites in a while. like in some years. Yeah, here is a fun fact, but I want to tell you fun fact, but it's not fun actually. Internet being attacked by a shark. Once a like shark attacked the internet cable, so the internet was cut. You can read this the blog, and I will share this link at class. So and now let's come on to the next question: how a website is made. Like how will we make this website look like? Like how will we make these beautiful pages? How will we write code, HTML, CSS, JS, and all? Yeah, Jaimin?
Yes. So, first of all, there was a problem. Uh, am I audible?
Yes, yes, you're audible.
There were some doubts about IP address. So IP address is we cannot store information in like computer stores information in form of numbers. So address is also a number. When you are typing IP address into IP address, it is converted into string and then returned as google.com or something else. So and when you are typing google.com, it is actually converted into that IP address and then the transfer happens. So is that clear to you?
Yeah, they all happen in your background, which but you will see only google.com, but not the IP address because no one likes seeing numbers and remembering them, right?
Yeah.
And there
So
is
the
a
next
doubt. I would like to address the doubt how to create IP address. Yeah, Ritik, we can create IP address by buying a domain or buying a server in AWS or DigitalOcean or any server hosting services. We can create an IP address. Okay.
there is also a very beautiful lecture on this how internet works, and it is of CS50. Anyone heard of that course?
Yes, yes, it's a Harvard course.
Yes, I'm sharing a link of it. Please do visit it also in the chat box. Share it in the other link too. The next question is how is exactly website made? Next slide, please. So actually, a website consists of three components. The first is front end, the second is back end, and other is database. Front end is actually what we see in the website. When you type a uh, address, what you see is actually front end. But when you click something, something happens behind the scenes, and you get some information. That part is handled by backend. And database is, well, it's database. So the front end is actually driven by three components, which is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. HTML is like skeleton of the website, like how we are structure the website. CSS actually gives like its skin or covering for the website, like how it gives it makes the website beautiful. Uh, that and well, JavaScript is actually a brain of the website. When you click something, something happens, and it is actually driven by JavaScript. Next slide, please. So, what is HTML? Front end is what you actually see, Abhijit. For example, when you type google.com, the things you see actually are Google are actually front end. But when you type something and uh, when like you type IITJ and and you click enter, then your computer sends some request to somewhere, and that somewhere gives you more data about IITJ. Okay, it gives you Google information about it. So that part is driven by backend, and what you see actually comes on your computer screen is front end. Understand?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So HTML is actually HTML is uh, it controls the layout of the web page, provides structure and fundamental blocks and basis of website. Next slide, please. So this is a very important thing when you are writing a HTML code. I will show you hands-on tutorial. So actually, what we kind of do, and it's a practice now to use a semantic HTML. What is semantic HTML? It means that every tag means something. Like you can see HTML in HTML4. Everything was division. I'll tell you what division is. Like div means division, and everything you can see is division, and id is sidebar. But now in HTML5 it's introduced that every every tag should mean something whenever you are writing it. Like this is called article. It doesn't mean anything. Like uh, when you type it, it doesn't make any difference to use div or article. But when you are typing article, another coder will see that it means article and it means footer. So it's very important for you to learn semantic HTML, which was introduced in HTML5. Next slide. So what are HTML tags? So HTML tag is like this. You have like this is the example of paragraph tag. It has an opening tag, a closing tag, uh, opening and closing brackets like that. And the closing tag consists of a backslash. So it is the backslash says that it is a closing tag, and the content we give is comes in the middle of the tag. Okay, so there are 7 basic tags. There are very more tags, but these are the 7 basic tags: uh, head, title, body, h tag, p tag, list, and table. I'll show it to you in hands-on. Next slide. And what is CSS? CSS actually makes the website look like you want to see it. It applies styles, various screen, and yes, a very important thing is you use different type of screen sizes. Some use a computer on small laptops, 13 inches. Some use on 15-inch laptops. Some use mobile for browsing, and some use tablets. Nowadays, TVs are also able to do that. So there are various screen size, and everything should be. It is called responsive web design, in which everything is according to that. Uh, but what is actually CSS? Next slide. Uh, I'll share my screen now. So, Rahul. Can you all see it?
Present it in the other meters.
Uh, Actually, there is some problem in Meet too, because echo is coming and I can't say anything.
Okay, I will try.
Yep.
Yeah, cool.
Can you see this Google website? Anyone?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So this is the Google website, what we see. Okay. Now I'll show what is HTML of it. Okay. When you write HTML code, it looks like this. Can you see it? This is actually what HTML website does. It is this. But when you apply CSS, it's a styling thing. And when you apply to it, it looks like this. So can you see the difference what CSS brings? A small line of codes, a small line of code makes this kind of difference. This is HTML, basic HTML, and when we apply CSS to it, it becomes like this. So this is the difference CSS brings. It can be applied to any website. Like this was the CS50 lecture I was talking about, and well, this is the YouTube website, what was coded in HTML. Can't even see it. but when we apply CSS to it, it looks amazing. Internet problem. Anyways, so Rahul, you can share now.
Okay. Jaimin, there are some doubts in chat. Which
Yes, yes.
extension are you using?
Uh,
Arnav, the HTML is not a basic input. HTML is the structure of the website. So what you basically see is your HTML.
Arnav, so like HTML is the content of the website. When you want to show something, you have to write it in HTML. But how you want to show it, it's actually controlled by CSS and JavaScript. Understand? And Soham, I'm using Unstyler extension. Search it.
Just write it in the
Yes,
chat.
HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, all three contains front end, and backend is just codes like we can use any coding language. I'll cover it too. Don't worry. So select what are selectors? Selector is a like how we select a tag and apply a style to it. It's controlled by a selector. Okay. Next slide, please. So what are the limits of CSS? I have a very cool CSS thing which I want to show you.
Should I open it?
Yes, yes. Can you see this code pen? I'm going to start it.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the Netflix intro. It's going to start, I guess. Internet is quite slow today. Oh, it was slow.
Let me just show
I,
it. Let me just.
yes.
Screen is visible, right?
I'm sharing the link anyways.
Guys, screen is visible. Okay, okay.
Yes, it is visible.
Yeah. So
Sahil, I'll show, don't worry.
you guys have seen it, right? This was made with just CSS, just HTML and CSS without any JS. So CSS like is that powerful, but doesn't have functionality. Which is okay. Yeah. Let's back to slides.
Um, Another thing that I have to share is a CSS battles. You can type it in Google and understand what CSS battles are. So next thing I have to show is Rahul. Can you explain it?
Yeah, basically CSS battles are like fun games for mastering CSS. Like you have to create this thing in with just CSS. Like this will help you in mastering CSS. Like it will give to touch to the core concepts of CSS or you can also be introduced to SCSS with these things. And yeah, and DevlUp is planning to have a competition in this CSS battles. So like just explore this. Okay. Yeah.
Also, a
You want to say?
disclaimer: CSS is not used for making such kind of images or something. It SVG is all for that, but when you type these kind of code, you'll understand what actually CSS is, how to code these kind of things. So it is very good for you.
Yeah. So
So the next part is hands-on coding. I'm sharing my screen.
Guys, Rahul, Jaimin, sorry to interrupt, man, but there are a few
yeah.
questions in the chat. You should take a look at the chat every few minutes so that you don't miss them.
Okay. Okay. Like, there are just 2 minutes and we are been confusing. So
Sahil, actually, what JavaScript is just a language, but it is a language of internet. So Rahul is going to explain it further. Don't worry.
yeah, yeah.
Um, Rishikesh, I'm going to cover some basic frameworks, Node, Angular, and React. Just I'm going to cover it. Don't worry. So this is basic HTML, and this is what it looks like. You can remember the Google website also looked like that. Can you see it?
Yes, yes.
Okay, Google website also looked like this something, right? This is the basic HTML page. So the H1, the first that I have to explain is H1 tags. So H1 tags are called header tags. There are 6 kind of header tags. H1, H2, H3. And H1 is the biggest one, and H3 going down, the size of the tags become size of the text becomes small. You can see it. Then there is a paragraph tag. Uh, it doesn't have like H1, H2, like there is no P1, P2, right? Paragraph is used to contain huge amount of chunks of data. Then the table, not table, sorry, list. So when we have to make a list of something, there are 2 kind of list. One is ordered list, which is called as OL, and another is one is unordered list. Unordered list is formed like a bullet points, as you can see, and the ordered list is formed as 1, 2, or 3. You can also control uh, how in ordered list you can see that there is 1, 2, and 3, but you can also control how 1, 2, and 3 is, like it can be I or Roman letters or something like that. You should go to W3 schools and understand it further. And very important part of it is form. uh, Form is when you take input from a user. So I am able to type something here. You see it, and then I'm going to submit it, but submit is not possible because I don't have a backend or something. It's just a static web page. So this is called forms, and you can explore it further. Go on W3 schools. It's a very fine resource, and I'm going to apply some kind of CSS on it. So what this is a CSS basics. This is H1 tag. When you have to apply something to H1 tag, can you see it?
Jaimin, first tell them like how to include the CSS file.
Yep, sorry. So how we including CSS file is, I made this CSS index.css file, and in HTML, the head part of the HTML contains where we have to go for other files, right? For example, I have linked this to link this CSS file in this HTML through link. This is a style sheet, and the href is where to go for CSS. So it's in the same link. So we can also include JavaScript files or any font that we have, external fonts that we have to use in this head tag. The title tag controls what is written here. This part, the introduction to web dev, is controlled by this title tag. In CSS, I have to change something about this hello all, right? I changed it through h1 tag. I have to change it, the h1 tag, and I changed it through something like this. So h1 is a selector, and the things I have to change are color, like, and it is red. Then I have to font size, and it comes large. Actually, the large size is very small, so it became like this. If I and it became small. If I control, and it became blue. So these are the kind of changes you can make. There are many more, but due to time constraints, we cannot tell you all. Also, there are many great resources for CSS. Like, you can learn Flexbox through this very good game that I have used called Flexbox Froggy. I'm okay. Wait, I'm going. I'll clear all your doubts. Wait just a second. The CSS grid can be run. No, Devyanshu, we don't have to use all the 7 things that I showed. 7 things are just, those 7 things are just a part of it. You can design a website in very different ways that you can just include headers and paragraphs when you don't need lists, when you don't need forms or something. So it's not necessary. You can make a website through just one tag too. It's not necessary. uh, so yes, HTML and CSS are very, very, very important, and there are no alternatives, as I think there are. So there are the basis of website. You cannot change it. Rishikesh has solved that out. Yes, H1, H3, and H1, H2, and H3 just have the size difference. Also, SEO also affects it. Anyone knows what SEO is? So,
Jaimin, let's just take the doubts at the last.
yep.
Yeah, right, sir. Jaimin. Guys, we
Yes,
will take
Rahul, you
all your doubts
continue.
at the last of the session.
Hmm.
Okay, so we have completed HTML and CSS. Let's just look at JS. So I'm not giving any hands-on session for this JS because there is a lot to cover. So I'm just trying to give you just the overview of JS. Okay. So the JS is a programming language that gives the functionality to our websites. So it will be like giving functionality to our website. We can do many functions from our browser itself. So like it can update our both HTML and CSS. Whatever like with JS, we can just grab the HTML elements and we can update their CSS properties. We can just change the structure or the style of the website with JS. So it's just let's just look at how the like how will websites work without JS, or what are like what's the working of the websites before the existence of JS. Like let's suppose we have a text for the world and a button change text. So what I expect from this website is when I click on this change text button, I expect this text to change to something else. But let's say that I have no JS, so I just have only HTML and CSS. So let's say how it will work. So when you enter the URL in your browser, it will go to the server and request only two files now. Because there is no JS, the server will return only HTML and CSS files. And if I click on this change text button, again again your browser will request the server and the server will return the changed files of the HTML and CSS. You're getting it right. So like without JS, you have to call the server many times, and you have to request the server different files every time you want to do some function in your website. But with JS, you can just do it all in your browser. You can just grab this HTML element and you can just change the text from the browser only. And now your server problems, like you don't need to request the server for the new data. So that's yes. So and a fact, JS is made in just 10 days. Yes, JS is just made in 10 days. So and like I wanna describe how the world will look like without JavaScript. Actually, I wanted to tell about this archive. So this is a website where you can find like all the websites in 1990s or 2000s. So like there are some websites like this is Amazon.com. You can view how does Amazon.com look when in 2000 in 2010, like when the times CSS is not there, or like CSS is not very much used, and without JS, like and like this is something interesting. And next, like this is some points about JavaScript. When JavaScript was first created, it was called LiveScript, and then Microsoft started reverse engineering it and made JScript. And then Europeans standardized the language and called it ECMAScript. So until now, and at present, it's called as ECMAScript only. So whenever a version of JS is released, it's called as ES6 or ES9, ES7 or ES8. These are all just versions of JavaScript, and like JS is the official name of JavaScript. Sorry, ECMAScript is the official name of JavaScript, but JavaScript is more popularly used across the country. So like you got the basic idea of the JS, right? So JS is just basically for the functionality of a website, and these are some frameworks which are made out of JS, and yeah. So I will now just show you how to deploy your website in your GitHub. So I have a code of like this is the HTML file taken from like these are all the resources I want to share. So I made a HTML file out of it, and a CSS file, which has only one property, which is font size. So just don't think about all this tag and all. You will get to know about it. Like you can just explore the things. And now I will deploy this HTML file in GitHub, and like this is the hands-on for deploying in GitHub. I'm creating a new repository. Any suggestions for them, or should we keep special of the bank here? Okay, let's just keep output. This is a VS Code. Okay. And I will directly upload these files into the GitHub repository. At first, I will say what is GitHub. GitHub is like GitHub is a place where you host your code. Like if you wanna like share your code with some other friends, or you wanna contribute to a open source community, then we use Git and GitHub. There is a session on DevlUp based on Git and GitHub. You can go watch it. But GitHub is just hosting your code, and like there are many features about in GitHub and GitHub. I will upload these two files. I will just drag and drop here. Okay, I will just directly drag from my. I'm committing the changes. Well, what is commit? You can just Google it. So my index.html and my style.css has been uploaded to GitHub, and I will create a page out of this. I will deploy this now, and I will go to settings and then pages. GitHub pages are is a free hosting web hosting services. You can only host single page applications. Single page applications are basically HTML files, uh, just HTML and CSS files, or just static pages. You cannot host backend and front end in this. Sorry, you cannot host backend in this, but you can host a static single page applications. You have to give the source. I will select the branch name and I will save it. So my site is published at this. So it will take time to load that. Let's just wait for it and we will just continue. You guys got the deployment here. Can I get a just quick yes or no in the chat? Shreyas, at present you can use VS Code or anything you wish to. Like it just basically is a matter of the writing code, right? So you can write it anywhere. Yeah, Jaimin, you can just continue with this framework.
So there were some questions about what is Node and what is React.js and all. So frameworks, those are some kind of frameworks. So next slide. So I said that what is backend? Backend is what processing, where the processing happens. So there are two backend frameworks. The first is Django, and other is Express.js. A fun, quick question: who is in the photo? Can anyone tell? The spellings are different. He's not Django, but anyways, else. Uh, Django is Django is a model view template framework that uses Python for web development. What is model view template (MVT)? You can Google it. It's a uh, very important thing in web development now. Uh, and Django uses Python for web development. As many were asking that what programming language are used for backend, we can use any language for backend. It may be Python, Java, C++, JavaScript. Any computing language can be used for backend. And other is Express.js. It is for JavaScript, and it's a very trending thing now. If you want to see it, many big companies use it: IBM, Uber, etc. Next slide, please. And then there are uh, front end frameworks. Sometimes you also need some things to organize your front end too, because your front end may be very scalable thing. So uh, the first is React. It's actually not a framework, it's a front end library, but it is uh, regarded as a framework. React.js, what React.js does is it divides the web page into part of components. So when you click something, uh, a part of component gets refreshed or something. You can search it more, but React works like that. And then there are Vue.js and Angular. Angular was developed by Google, and React was developed by Facebook. Next slide.
And yes,
So
thank you guys. Thank you for joining. These are the
please don't leave.
content
We
you
have
can
a
visit
very important thing to tell you.
Yeah. You have told you HTML, CSS, JS. What is HTML, what is CSS, and what is JS. And we also had hands-on on HTML and CSS. So you can explore a bit on these things, and you can actually try creating your portfolio. And I hope you know what is meant by portfolio. A portfolio is basically just writing about yourself in a website or in anything. So you guys can have like you can create your beautiful portfolio, and you can deploy it in either GitHub pages or home.iot. So our IIT will also provide a free hosting service at uh, IIT at home.iot.ic.in. I will show you. So go to resources and computer center and then services. Here is the thing, web hosting. Our IIT will provide a free web hosting service. You can just click here for the manual on how to host at home.iit.is.in. But at present the server is down. Maybe it will be up in 2-3 days, or maybe tomorrow itself. So just try, give it a go. Okay. And if you are not able to deploy in home.iit.is, then you can ask in the Discord server, or you can directly deploy it in GitHub just as I have shown you in before. And you can post your links of your website of your portfolios in hashtag portfolios channel. Yes, portfolios channel. Okay. And yeah. And I hope we receive many portfolios in the channel. And here are the resources that we just deployed in the GitHub. So I will share the link of this. and you can see and you can refer whenever you want. And yeah, we are open to questions. No, you can ask any question. Yeah, I will post this link in the Discord server. But guys, you are more encouraged to have some questions.
Yes, we are recording and we'll give.
Can we put ads on GitHub pages?